Hi, I'm Dan Danford, and we're doing another episode of Money Made Easy for dadsdivorce.com. This is a question from the website, and it's not the kind of question that we got 20 or 30 years ago. Does owning pet insurance make any financial sense? I know many insurance companies I've looked into only accepting certain breeds, a lot of exclusions on pre-existing conditions, and/or they have extreme limitations on what is covered at the vet. Any advice? Amazing transformation. I mean, this is just one of those topics that didn't even exist 15 or 20 years ago. But the background information is that more and more people have pets. Many of those pets are living longer and longer, which means that they encounter some of the diseases and maladies of age, and that treating those animals can be very expensive. Hence, insurance companies, never wanting to miss an opportunity, have created pet insurance. So I guess my first bit of information or advice would be what I would do with anybody with any kind of insurance at all. And that's only cover expenses that you can't pay yourself. Okay, the reason we have car insurance or house insurance is because we might have a problem that we couldn't afford to fix. The cost of a car transmission falling out, or being involved in an accident and the costs that go along with that, or having a fire at our home and all of a sudden, you know, we owe a big mortgage and we'd have to rebuild the house. It's just too much for most of us to do. So we have insurance to cover those things. Well, it's the same thing with your pet. Okay, if you've got a pet and there's a potential that that pet might have a health problem that costs you more money than you have, then you ought to get into insurance. And it's a simple question of common sense. I guess one of the things is, you know, if you think it's likely that your pet would encounter a $1,000 surgery or something like that, okay, well, if you're paying nearly $1,000 a year in pet insurance premiums, okay, and you'd be paying those premiums for a number of years, then you might pay those premiums for 5 or 6 or 7 years. In other words, you've paid $6,000 or $7,000 worth of premiums in order to pay for a $1,000 surgery. That just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. So I guess what I'd say is to, first of all, decide, you know, what's your threshold, okay? And, you know, how much money would you spend to take care of your animal if it had a problem? And would you be able to afford that if it was an issue? And truthfully, some of these questions when it comes to animals are, you know, the same questions we face with elderly people today, and that's that you can spend an incredible amount of money keeping them alive for a very long time, and their quality of life might not be that good. So at some point, do you ease both your suffering? And I can't answer that question, and I don't have an opinion on it. Only you know that question with your pet. But, you know, there are, you know, treatments and things today that can, you know, they can extend an animal's life for a very, very long time, and it can be very expensive. So that's part of this issue as well. So let's say you decide you do need an insurance policy for your pet. Well, what I tell everybody all the time is to compare. You know, check around with different companies and different pet insurance policies. You'll want to look at things just like you would with anything else. You want to look at the deductibles. You want to look at what's covered. You want to look at how much the premium is. You want to look at exclusions for pre-existing conditions. Obviously, if your pet already has a condition and it's excluded, then there's no point in even having that insurance. But you may find another insurance company that covers those things. So again, just compare between the different insurance companies. Another thing is that, especially with dogs, but also with cats, is that breeds matter. You know, some breeds of dogs and cats are more subject to certain diseases than others. And you'll find this when you start looking around for policies, because the policies will be more or less or might not cover certain breeds. So, you know, be aware of your own breed and your own, you know, common things that happen there, and then use that common sense to make a decision about what fits for your pet. Okay, and then the last thing I'd say, and it's very similar to humans again, and that is wellness. You know, when we have company plans with our companies, one of the things they encourage us to do is to encourage our employees to live in a healthy lifestyle. Not only does that make the employee's life better, but it also cuts down their expenses in the long run. Well, the same thing's true with your pet. Okay, one way to reduce expenses is to make sure that the animal is well taken care of. You know, make sure they get the exercise they need, the nutrition that they need, the checkups they need, the shots they need. All those kinds of things will reduce your costs of insurance and also reduce your costs at the vet. I mean, bottom line on this whole situation is, you know, it's the relationship that you and your family have to your animals. Okay, that's really, really important here. And then it's the relationship between what the cost of those animals might be and your budget. And all of that has to be reconciled together so that you can make a wise decision on buying insurance for your pet. I really do think it's an important topic today because so many people have animals that mean so much to them, and veterinary medicine, just like human medicine, has become very, very expensive and very, very specialized. And so it very, very well may be that many of us should consider having insurance policies for our pets. But again, it's a person by person or family by family decision, and I encourage you to think long and hard and check things out before you buy those policies. That's another episode of Money Made Easy for dadsdivorce.com. I'm Dan Danford. We'll see you again next week.